Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
It sounds fake.
What if one of the most celebrated royal births wasn't what the world was told? For years, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have sold the story of Archie's birth as a moment of privacy, secrecy, and rebellion against the palace.
Just so disgusting.
But now, louder voices, armed with screenshots, timelines, and bold claims, are stepping up, saying something way darker might have gone down behind those polished hospital doors. At the center of this brewing storm, Candace Owens.
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
She's calling out what she says are massive contradictions in Meghan's pregnancy story. Contradictions so wild that even doctors and royal insiders are scratching their heads in disbelief. From Harry's own words in his memoir to supposed hospital leaks, the official timeline doesn't just sound unusual, it sounds nearly impossible. 2 epidurals, a super speedy hospital exit, and a dozen different excuses for why the press wasn't alerted? Put those puzzle pieces together, and the fairy tale image of a royal birth starts cracking apart fast. It looks less like a royal miracle and more like a tangled web of confusion that keeps getting harder to ignore.
Listen.
This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years.
And here's the jaw dropper. If even one piece of this tale doesn't check out, it raises a serious question. What exactly was the royal family hiding? And why? If the inconsistencies are real.
It was a dreadful thing to do and actually completely wrong.
That means the public wasn't just misled. They were played. The trust between Meghan, Harry, and the millions who celebrated Archie's arrival might have been broken from day one. But before jumping to conclusions, it's time to break it all down step by step, because what comes next could flip how you see this royal saga forever. Let's start with the timeline from Harry's own memoir. It might reveal way more than the couple ever wanted. In his best-selling book, Harry writes that Meghan gave birth to Archie at the ultra-luxurious Portland hospital, supposedly going through 2 epidurals before leaving with their newborn just hours later.
It makes you sound like a better mom. It makes you sound like really kind of into yourself in a way.
On paper, it sounds glamorous. A dramatic story of strength and control. But once medical experts, nurses, and even everyday moms took a closer look, the questions started flooding in fast. First off, the idea of having 2 epidurals during active labor, huge red flag.
He describes her very well, and he does this by taking a look.
An epidural isn't a simple pain pill. It's a serious medical procedure where a catheter is inserted near the spine. Switching it mid-labor isn't just rare, it's risky. So why do it? Why take that kind of chance unless something else was going on? It almost sounds more like a performance than a real medical moment. Then there's the so-called recovery. According to Harry, Meghan was discharged and already back home at Frogmore Cottage with Archie within just 2 hours.
Up a camera, fixate it, and then both of you start twerking. Because in her mind, she was thinking, I'm going to release this later in a Netflix doc or release it later to show people how relatable I am. Otherwise, you can have a cute moment with your husband without recording it. Like, why would you record this for any reason? Why would you record this in the hospital?
But medically, that barely makes sense. Most new moms, especially after pain management or any complications, stay under hospital observation for at least 24 hours. Yet somehow, Meghan supposedly packed up, signed papers, had the baby checked, and traveled across London. Even the math refuses to cooperate. Portland Hospital sits in central London, while Frogmore Cottage is far off near Windsor. Between discharge procedures, recovery time, and travel, that timeline just doesn't line up. Not even in the best-case scenario. Everything feels rushed, overly polished, and just a little too perfect to believe. So why tell a version that doesn't match up with basic medical logic? If the timeline's shaky, what else in their carefully built story might also be off? Because the deeper people dig, the more this royal birth starts to look like one big mystery. And the contradictions? They're only getting louder. When you start digging into how the palace handled Archie's birth, things get even stranger. If Harry's version of events made people raise an eyebrow, Meghan's handling of the media practically lit the fuse. Normally, royal births follow strict, time-honored protocol. The Queen gets informed first, an official statement is prepared, and within minutes, the press is alerted so the public can celebrate. But when Archie was born, those royal rules seemed to vanish into thin air. Meghan gave not 1, not 2, but 3 completely different explanations for why the press wasn't notified the usual way. In one version, she said it was about protecting her privacy. In another, she claimed there were birth complications. Then, later, the story changed again. So if the truth was really that simple, why keep changing it? Even royal reporters, some of whom are known for being friendly to the palace, admitted they were baffled. Some journalists said they were told Archie had already been born hours before the official announcement, while others were told Meghan was still in labor when she actually wasn't. Total chaos. That kind of confusion doesn't just break royal protocol, it chips away at the very credibility of the monarchy itself. Palace staff and protection officers are trained to follow every rule to perfection. Slip-ups like this don't just happen by accident. So people started asking, was this mix-up just miscommunication, or was there something bigger being hidden? The secrecy and back and forth didn't just make people curious, it made them suspicious. Was the palace trying to protect privacy, stir sympathy, or hide something far deeper? And things only get murkier once you look at the hospital side of this story. When Harry described Meghan getting 2 epidurals during labor, medical experts were immediately skeptical. For anyone who doesn't know, an epidural isn't some quick shot. It's a careful medical procedure where a catheter is inserted near the spine to deliver continuous pain relief. Once it's in, it stays put. Adjustments can be made easily without removing or replacing it. That's why doctors and nurses say the claim about 2 epidurals just doesn't add up. Switching catheters in the middle of active labor is incredibly rare and risky. It's something that would only happen if there were serious complications. And even then, recovery time would be much longer and require close hospital monitoring. Yet Harry's memoir talks about this like it was no big deal, glossed over as though it was just another detail in a dramatic royal story. Critics say this version doesn't reflect real medical practice. It sounds exaggerated, maybe even rewritten for effect. And that's not all. If Meghan truly had a second epidural, how could she have possibly left the hospital so fast? Multiple epidurals followed by a same-day discharge totally goes against standard medical protocol. Hospitals don't take those chances. They keep new mothers under observation to prevent nerve issues, infection, or drops in blood pressure. To be blunt, the story just doesn't line up with how childbirth medicine actually works, which raises one major question. Was this just a misunderstanding about medical terms, or was the story shaped to sound extraordinary on purpose? Because every little inconsistency in Meghan's pregnancy tale seems to lead to something bigger. Let's be real, no matter who you are or how royal your status is, childbirth isn't something you walk away from in just a few hours. Even in the smoothest cases, hospitals keep mothers for at least 24 hours to monitor vital signs, manage pain, and ensure recovery is safe. So, if Meghan's account skips all that, what's the real story behind the scenes? Bleeding after birth is normal, and both mom and newborn get checked again and again before a discharge is even considered. No shortcuts, no guessing games. If complications like preeclampsia are in the mix, which Meghan herself has suggested, doctors aren't letting anyone leave that fast, period. Preeclampsia isn't some light headache. It can lead to seizures, organ damage, and dangerous spikes in blood pressure that demand real monitoring. Women dealing with it are usually watched for days, sometimes weeks, to keep everything stable and safe. No glamour, just medical reality. Yet Harry's memoir paints a picture where Meghan gave birth, got multiple interventions, and was back home in the time it takes to watch a blockbuster. Seriously? That timeline isn't just unusual. Obstetricians say it clashes with responsible care standards in a big way. Medical pros who've looked at this account have called it reckless at best and implausible at worst, which is a heavy charge for a birth story that millions read as fact. Here's the twist. Meghan often speaks up about maternal health, pushing for proper care and monitoring with a strong voice. If the quick exit is accurate, it undercuts the very standards she promotes. If it isn't, then the public got a polished version that doesn't match real-world medicine. Either way, the questions don't fade. They multiply, and they get sharper once insider chatter steps into the room. Behind those glossy announcements, whispers from Portland hospital staff sketch a different vibe. Quiet, careful, and not nearly as cinematic as the memoir suggests. Anonymous employees point to odd details that just don't line up with daily operations, making the official timeline feel shaky. One insider even questioned the late-night food order Harry described, noting patients can't just summon gourmet meals at any hour like it's room service at a 5-star resort. Yes, Portland offers fine dining, but the specific cravings tied to Meghan reportedly don't match what staff remember serving, which makes people go, "Hold up, so what was actually on that tray?" Then there's the so-called secret elevator. Harry paints it like a stealth escape route right out of a spy movie. Longtime employees say the hospital is discreet, sure, with private corridors and tight security, but no hidden system like the one he described, nothing that screams royal getaway, just high-end logistics like any elite facility. On their own, these details might seem small, but stacked together, they start to look like a curated narrative instead of a strict, factual play-by-play. Add in the quiet word from a supposed hospital insider who claims Meghan's stay was calmer and less dramatic than advertised, and the official clock starts wobbling even more. Candace Owens has jumped on these points hard, arguing that when the little things fall apart under scrutiny, the big claims deserve a second look too. Was the royal couple boosting the drama for public sympathy, or was there a tighter plan to control every detail of the story, even down to what was on the menu and which hallway they used? Whatever the motive, each shaky detail nudges the public away from trust and towards suspicion. And that suspicion only gets louder when you zoom out to the bigger why behind all this. Why include medical beats like 2 epidurals and a same-day discharge in the memoir? Were those innocent mix-ups, dramatic flourishes, or deliberate choices to make the moment sound epic? By now, the inconsistencies aren't just stacking up, they're banging on the door for an explanation, loud and clear. If the timing doesn't add up, if the hospital logistics don't check out, and if insiders keep challenging the glossy version, then the next question hits like ice. What are we really looking at here? Why would Meghan and Harry feel the need to twist or glam up something as personal as their own child's birth? Some say it was all about control, keeping power over their story in a royal system where privacy barely exists. Others think it was a PR move to spark sympathy, showing Meghan as a woman fighting through extreme pressure and unfair treatment in the spotlight. But there's another theory floating around. Maybe the secrecy wasn't about Meghan at all. Maybe it was about shielding the monarchy itself from truths that would have caused major damage if exposed. Whatever the real reason, those contradictions did the exact opposite of what they probably wanted. Instead of quieting critics, they gave skeptics even more fire to keep talking. Every changed detail, every confusing timeline, every shaky recollection only made things look worse. And once the public starts doubting, rebuilding that trust becomes nearly impossible. Candace Owens jumped right into this storm, hitting straight at the core of that mistrust. She's been pointing out the cracks that fans and critics alike can't ignore. Because if a royal couple can't keep their story straight about something as basic as a birth, what else might they be hiding? Whether this was a clever PR tactic or just a mess of half-truths gone too far, the result is the same. People are now questioning the couple's credibility more than ever. It's become a full-blown reckoning, the contradictions, the consequences, and what all of it means for Meghan and Harry's reputation going forward. From the clashing hospital accounts to the eyebrow-raising memoir details, Meghan's pregnancy story feels like a puzzle that never quite fits. Maybe it's sloppy storytelling, maybe it's intentional, but one thing's for sure, the truth is buried deep under layers of polished confusion. Candace Owens didn't just stir drama, she spotlighted questions people have whispered for years. The timelines don't line up, the explanations keep changing, and every clarification only makes the mystery thicker. But here's the real twist. You think the pregnancy saga is wild? Wait until you hear about Meghan's age scandal. Her own father, Thomas Markle, has come forward with jaw-dropping claims that could totally change how you see her story. This connects directly to everything we've just broken down. And trust me, it's even more shocking than the birth timeline drama. So before you scroll away, make sure you hit subscribe to Goldoria channel, because this is where the truth gets unpacked piece by piece, no fluff, no filters. Check out our previous deep dive too. It ties every clue together and exposes secrets the public was never meant to hear. The rabbit hole goes way deeper than you think. Stay tuned, stay curious, and don't forget to hit that bell so you never miss what's next on Goldoria, where the truth behind the headlines always comes out with a bang.